So this is case 1 on page 413 of your book. So I'm going to Data Files, Excel 7, case 1, and it's asking me to open modem.xlsx. And that is what we're going to do. Wants author and date. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's just put this into context. Linda Clausen works for PC Market Distribution, a computer supply store. She needs your help with designing an Excel workbook to enter purchase order information. She has already entered the product information on PC Market's line of modems. She wants you to insert a lookup function to look up data from the product table. The company also offers 3 shipping options, standard, express, and overnight, that vary in price. She wants the purchase order worksheet to be able to calculate the total cost of the order, including the type of shipping the customer requests. Complete the following. Okay, so we're on step 1. Open the module, save the workbook. It has the same name. You can save it whatever you like, and then enter your name and date. Done. Okay, so let's go to the purchase order worksheet. And ugly, to say the least. In cell B5, we're going to enter the product number 1050, I believe. Okay, so what it wants us to do is when we're working on this is an order page. Okay, this is a PC, this is a purchase order that people fill out for a given product. And as soon as they type in 150 or whatever the product order is, I want to populate the type, the model, and the price. All of that information is over here in this table. Okay, and this is yes, it is a table. Okay, so it was what, 1050? 1050 looks like we have over here ISDSN DL lines. Okay, so what kind of lookup do I want to do here? What's that? Vertical. Yeah, it's a vertical lookup. So I'm going to type in here equal VLOOKUP. Okay, my lookup value is what? What value am I going to look up in the table? B5. Very good. Okay. My table array is, I'm just going to go over and click on it. Whoops. Is, well, I guess I'll click on the whole thing. Is this deal over here. Now it identified as a table. So B5, comma, product price, comma, what is it looking for first? I can't remember what we're doing here. Type? What are we putting in first here? Type, yeah. So I want column what? Column 2. Remember, it's a numerical index. And I don't want product list, I just want a 2 in there. Uh-oh. Product price. Sorry, sometimes when I have Screencast-O-Matic, it's laggy. Comma 2. So the second column from the product price table. And in this one, do I want an exact match or an approximate match? Okay, so what's an exact match? Can't remember which one's which. Something screwed up here?
You don't have enough to give one too many parentheses.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So I want an exact match, so I'm going to put false. So I should have B5 is what I'm looking up. The product price table is the table I'm looking up. I want to return column 2, and I want an exact match, so I'm going to put false in there. Hit enter, and it comes back and says the type is ISDN DSL. Now product model and price is coming from the same table. So it looks like model is simply the 3rd column and price is the 4th column. So how do you suggest I put this one in? What would you do, Lorraine?
B5 static.
Okay, good.
And then drag them.
I'd make B5 static. So let's do that. It's a good suggestion. Okay. I'm going to copy that down. Okay, but the only thing I need to change here is what? I'm going to look up the 3rd thing, right? So I'm going to change the 2 because we're looking for the 3rd thing in the table, not the 2nd. And here we're looking for the 4th thing. Now if I put into the product ID, okay, all 9s, it's going to come back and say not applicable. Why? Because all 9s is not in the table. If I wanted to, I'm not sure if the case is asking me to do that, but if I wanted to give the user of this, because it's just some admin that I gave this to, if I want to put a more descriptive message there, what would you recommend I use to do that? Okay, I could say if here. Okay, and I could put instead of if, I could say, hey, that product's not in our list. Add the list. Add the product listing first. Okay, something to that effect. Okay. Oh, it does want us to do that. It says if an incorrect product ID is entered in B5 in cell 7, C8, and C9, modify the formula cell so that product ID not found is displayed in the cell if the ID entered isn't. So let's just do one of them, just so we can do it. I'm not going to do them all. All I need to do, let's go up to the type, and after the equal sign, I'm going to put if error. Okay, so if this deal returns an error, I'm going to put a comma there, and then it wants me to write product ID not found. And now if I put in all 9s, instead of saying NA there, it says product ID not found. Okay, step 4, it says in the range D40 to E42. So we're down here, I guess, D40. In the range D40, it's down here, to E42. Enter label and shipping costs based on the following information. So I think it wants us to write standard. $9.50 express $14.50 overnight 1850. I guess I'll make them currency. And I'll just put a border around it. So all we're doing is creating a little side table within this invoice. Out here, hand up? No. Okay, now it wants us to use our nested if. So it says in cell C17, okay, it wants us to evaluate, so let's say, I'm going to put in here standard. So in the shipping cost, I want to put a nested if. And I want to follow along with that table. So I have three outcomes, so what kind of if am I going to have to use? Nested if. Okay, so I'm going to put in here equal if. Oops. Make this bigger, I can probably. Equal if, and I'm going to look at B15. And if it equals standard, I'm going to put in 950, and I'm done. If it's not standard, there's actually two more things that can happen, right? So what do we need? We need another if, right? We need a nested if in here. So if it's not standard, then we say if B15 equals express, comma, then we want to charge them $14.50, and we're done. If it's neither of those two options, what are we assuming it to be? Assuming it to be overnight, and overnight gets charged a whopping $18.50. Close parenthesis, that'll close my first if. Close parenthesis, that'll close my second if. So let's follow this logic. Okay, there's three outcomes here, right? If it's standard, if B15 is standard, fantastic. I go to 950, it's done with this if. It doesn't go any further. If it's not standard, it says, okay, I need to go to this comma and evaluate. Okay, it's not standard if I'm here. Is it express? Great. If it is, 1450. If it's not express, 1850. So it's not standard, it's not express. We're going with 1850. So if I hit enter, hopefully this will put in 950. So if I go up here now, if I write overnight, goes to 1850. If I write express, it goes to 1450. If I write Miko in here, what's it going to do? What's that?
Just give you an error message.
Unfortunately, it won't, because the way we did this. What's it going to do? It's going to go to 1850, right? Because the way it does it right now says, hey, if it's not standard and it's not express, it makes the assumption that it's overnight. So if I put in Miko, it's going to say 1850. Okay? So given that, what might be a better way to do this? I don't know if the book asks us to do that, but given that scenario, a couple things. What would be a better way to do this? Because a lot of times when you're thinking about turning over a worksheet to someone, you got to think, how can they screw this up? Really, you do. You have to think like, I have to design this. I'm not putting people down, but design for like a 5-year-old, right? Okay. So what do you think is a better thing to do? A couple things. What would be a better thing to do?
Add another level to it with the overnight, and then have like a.
Okay. So I see what you're saying. We could do another level and say, another incident that work and say, if it's not expressed, then check if it's overnight. And if it's not overnight, then put in a message like, hey, it has to be one of these three options. That'll work. Very good. What else? What else could we do? Dropped. Okay, one of the ways, and we don't know how to do that yet, but one of the best ways for data integrity, to limit the number of errors that get into a worksheet in the first place, is to, when they enter, when you give them places to enter, don't make it free format, right? There's 3 options, there's 3 choices. So as Alex said, the best way to do that is saying, only let those 3 choices in. So we put a drop down in there. Standard, Overnight, Express has to be one of them, right? And then we know the data coming in is one of those 3 options, and then we don't have to program for someone writing Miko in there, right? The other thing we could do is we could have used a VLOOKUP for the same thing, right? We have a little table down there, so we could use the VLOOKUP, and if it's not in that table, we could use the if error to put out a message, all right? So we made it through, it looks like, step 5. And it looks like everything else after that isn't too difficult. Should be able to get that done. So this will be due on Monday as well. So I know it says in class, but it's called a hybrid. It's half in class, half out of class. So that'll be due Monday as well. So there's 2 cases out of class, 1 place in class, and a quiz.
For my shipping costs, it's putting in 1850. I don't know why.
I'll take a look at it.
Are we gonna have a lab day next Monday then, or is it just?
Probably have, yeah, I'll probably have a lab day. I probably am going to record a lecture for Friday, just because it feels like we're a little bit behind. This is a class I want you to get the most out of it if you can, so we'll probably start modulating with a video lecture. Okay? Fine, I'll take a look at that.
I had a question on the homework.
Yeah.
It wants me to compare this one and this one, and if this sells for more than that, I use conditional formatting, but I can't figure out which one that's for.
What's that?
It's the very last step, and I can't figure out the conditional formatting formula. Should be a new rule.
Yeah.
How'd you go out? Midnight. Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
If which is greater than what? Yeah. Sorry. If the asking price is greater than the sales price.
Yeah. Or if the sales price sells more than the asking price, wants it to be conditional formatting. Every time I create a formula and pull it down, it changes all the numbers.
I just want to let you know that none of the business organizations have submitted their budget requests yet.
One of, or none of.
None of.
What do they do?
Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Slackers.
And it says, can create a new rule by selecting the use formula to determine which cells format rule type, and then editing the rule description and a formula with a conditional statement that compares first data row between the 2 columns and metrics.
Oh, okay. I think I know what I did wrong. Okay, so let's do. So sales price. Roll.
That's the bottom.
Yeah. 1,000. Well, this formula is true. Sales price. Is greater than.
what is it?